Hello! Hello! Hello, Council Bluffs! Woo! All right, this is fabulous. Thank you, Charlie, for the introduction. You're fabulous. That's what makes this work. But that is what makes this work. It's all of us in this together, raising our voices. That's how we make real change. It's true. So I want to say a thank you to all of you. These are dangerous times for our country. And Iowa is going to have a big part in determining where we go next. And I am grateful to you for coming out on a Friday night to spend your time on this, to take this seriously, and to help our country. So thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. I see you back there. Listen, can everybody hear me in the back row? Good. You always tell a school teacher, we keep an eye on the back row. Oh, we got some school teachers. Rowdy crowd when you got school teachers in them. I'm just telling you. We're going to do this. So I thought maybe I'd just tell you a little bit about myself, talk a little bit about what I think this whole 2020 should be about, and then take as many questions as we've got time for. So I actually want to start this with a little bit of a story. I grew up in Oklahoma, born and raised there. I have 3 older brothers, much older than I am. I was what used to be known as the late in life baby. My mother always called me the surprise. I was about 30 before it hit me what that meant. My daddy, when I was growing up, he had a lot of different jobs. He sold paint, he sold carpeting, he sold housewares. And when I was in middle school, it was just Mama and Daddy and me, and my daddy had a heart attack. And my mother and I thought he was going to die. But he made it out of the hospital, but was out of work for a really long time. And the bills piled up. We lost the family station wagon. And at night, I'd go to bed, and I'd hear my parents talk. And I learned words like mortgage and foreclosure, heavy words for a kid. One day I walked into my parents' bedroom, and my mother was pacing back and forth, and on the bed was the dress. Now, some of you in this room know the dress. It's the one that only comes out for weddings, funerals, and graduations. And it was laid out on the bed, and my mother was walking back and forth in her stocking feet, crying and saying, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." She was 50 years old. She had never worked outside the home, and she was terrified. But she pulled on the dress, put on her high heels, blew her nose and put on her lipstick, and she walked to the Sears, and she got a minimum wage job. And that minimum wage job saved our home, and it saved our family. And if you want to know who I am, that story is etched on my heart and always will be. Now, for a long time when I was growing up, I always thought that was a story about my mother, about how deep you reach when you got it. And through the years, I came to understand, no, this is a story about a lot of families and a lot of people who do what's got to be done to take care of the people you love. But it was years later that I came to understand it's also a story about government. Because when I was a kid, a minimum wage job in America would support a family of 3. It would pay a mortgage, keep the utilities on, and put food on the table. Today, a minimum wage job in America will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. Think about that difference, because for me, that's what this is all about. Back when I was a kid, folks in far-off Washington asked the fundamental question, what's it going to take for a family of 3 to make it? That's where we ought to put the minimum. Today, the folks in Washington ask, what's going to improve the profitability of a multinational corporation? And that's what we're here to change. So it was a bumpy path for me. I wanted, more than anything else, to be a public school teacher. Wanted that from the time I was little. But there was no money for college. I got a scholarship. Then I drop out of school at 19 and get married. Smart. But I found a commuter college, made it back. Ended up with babies. I go to a public law school, a state law school. Second baby. Yeah, it's one thing after another. And then ended up in law teaching, back as a teacher, but on law side of the house. And pretty much all of my adult career has been spent around one central question, and that is, what's happening to working families in America? Why has America's middle class been hollowed out? What's happening to opportunity in this country? Why is the path so rocky for so many people and so much rockier for people of color? Why has this happened in America? And just think about how this works. The answer is not that people don't work hard. The answer is not that people don't try. The fundamental answer is back to a lot of those decisions made in Washington about who government works for. So right now, government works great for giant drug companies. It just doesn't work for people trying to fill prescriptions, right? It works great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere. It just doesn't work for families that want kids who can actually breathe the air. It works great for giant financial companies like Equifax. It just doesn't work for people whose Social Security numbers get stolen. That's the difference in America. It is an America right now that works for the rich and the powerful. And we need to call that out for what it is. Corruption, pure and simple. I just want to say 3 quick things about what that corruption has done to families in America. Since 1980, GDP in this country has more than doubled. Our country has gotten a whole lot richer. But 90% of America, upper middle class, working poor, and the poor, answer 0. Think about that. That's why we're here tonight. What can we do about it? How do we get in this fight? And the answer is, we got to make change. And not just a little piece of change, not a little nibble around the edge, not one bill that someone wants to pass. This is the moment we need to make big structural change in this country. And let me give you some examples of how we're going to do that. First one, we need to change Washington, root out the corruption. How to do that? How about we end lobbying as we know it? Revolving door between Washington and Wall Street. Congress, they can't trade in individual stocks, right? And how about one more? Everybody who runs for federal office, everybody has to put their tax return. Second one is we got to change our economy. And when I talk about change, I mean structural. We need more power in the hands of unions, of workers, and we also have to address head-on the major cost and threats that families face. And that means bring down the price of prescription drugs, bring down the and the third one, we need to change politics. And that means we need to protect our democracy. Constitutional amendment to protect voting. Every American.
You can walk up there. Yeah, but that's okay. Because if you walk up there with this and point it that way, if you get close, it'll sound.
Every issue that we face, gun safety, environmental disaster, student loan debt, social security,
I'm sure about batteries. We don't batteries.
they all intersect at a Washington that is working for the wealthy and the well-connected and not working. So, I just want to say this. Thanks. Here tonight. I'm here. Oh, we have sound. I thought that was just for me. Yes. Woo! Okay. Now that we got sound, I'm ready. Okay. But we got to a good place in this because this part I want you all to hear for sure. I'm in this fight because I am grateful. My daddy ended up as a janitor, and I had a chance to become a public school teacher, a college professor, and a United States senator. I am grateful to America down to my toes. I am grateful, but I am also determined. I am determined that we build an America where not just the children of rich people get a chance to build something, but where all of our children get a chance to build a real future. That's what I'm in this fight for. This is going to be a grassroots campaign. I'm here to ask every one of you to be part of this. Anything you can do. Volunteer, take a sign, pitch in $5, any part of it. Go to elizabethwarren.com, join us in this, because this is about what we do together. I believe in what we can do. It is time to dream big and fight hard for an America that works not just for those at the top, but an America that works for everyone. Some questions? Come on up, Scott. All right, Scott.
Hello,
Let's do it
everybody.
for Scott. Hello, Scott. Democratic Party.
Thank you. My name's Scott Putney. I'm the chair of the Potawatomi County Democrats, and I'll be the person that draws the lucky tickets tonight. So
all righty.
When everybody came in today, they should have had the opportunity to put a ticket in the bucket if you wanted to ask a question. So.
Okay, he's got one.
Okay. So I've got a bucket. So what I'm going to do is just start with drawing 4 tickets.
Okay, get some good ones here, Scott.
And if you would, when your ticket is drawn, if you could come up to this microphone, to the young lady there that's waving her hand.
That or get one of the teachers. They'll make sure it's loud enough. They'll totally do it.
And we'll try to get through
That
as
or if
many.
we got any nurses here, they'll do it too. Yeah. Oh.
We'll try to get through as many questions as we have time for.
Okay.
And like I said, I'll draw with 4 first. 099052.
Is that you?
If you would please,
Okay,
please
good. Just go ahead and keep calling.
let people get through. Yeah.
Okay.
The other one is 099031.
Here we go. We have another winner. Okay. Good.
099009.
Good.
And 015. How about that? That's close,
015.
Jeff.
Okay. We got something to start us?
Anybody have the 015? Yeah.
Do we have 015? There we are. Okay. All right, we'll get better on the tickets. You got a T-shirt, though. Okay, the best one. All right, we ready? Hi.
Hi, my name's Maria Nevada. I'm actually a student.
Miranda?
Maria.
Maria.
Yes, I'm actually a student journalist at the UNO Gateway. I'm the photo editor.
All right.
Don't have a fancy press pass, but my question is, in a time when there's the question of like the soul of the Democratic Party, like what do they need? What are we sort of all collectively looking for? If we are collectively looking for something, what is it exactly that you think the Democratic Party needs in this journey towards 2020, and what you are bringing to it that you think it needs at this time?
So it's a great question, Maria. But I got to tell you, I'm not a career politician. I never thought I would be in public office. I never thought I'd run. I've been a policy person forever. But I never thought I'd run for public office. I never thought of this in terms of party politics. All I know is what pulls me into the fight. And what pulls me into the fight is that I got a chance as a kid. And that chance was because taxpayers invested in public schools. That's how I got my chance. K through 12, that's how I got my chance. I graduated into an economy that was growing, where we were making more and more investments in making that economy work locally, investments in infrastructure, investments in basic research, investments in the things that produce good jobs right here in America. And I believe in that. I have watched as year by year by year, the folks with the money, the folks who can hire the lobbyists, the folks who can hire the lawyers, the folks who can hire the bought and paid for experts, The folks who can pay for the think tanks get into every decision that gets made in Washington. And time after time, they tilt the playing field just a little. And then just a little more, and just a little more. And sometimes they tilt it really big. Look at that tax bill that was passed a year ago. A $2 trillion giveaway to billionaires and giant corporations at a time when our kids are shouldering $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. So for me, the fundamental question, the sole question is, who do we want government to work for? If we're content with government working for the rich and the powerful, keep voting Republican. But if you believe that government ought to work for all of us, then I think that's what the Democratic Party should be all about, and that's what 2020 should be all about. I hope that's helpful, Maria. Thank you. You bet. I love my rowdy teachers.
How's it going?
Hi.
I'm nervous. Thank
Say it
you
again.
for. I'm nervous. I'm Debbie.
Nervous?
Debbie
Good to see
from
you.
Omaha.
All right.
And you just touched on my point is whether it's state, federal, city, government, we all are customers and we want to get our money's worth.
Yep.
I've been a taxpayer since I was 16 years old.
Me too.
But my biggest question is how can we control insurance companies like with the Affordable Care Act and everything that happened? That was a good plan, but I don't think government anticipated that the insurance companies would come back and just annihilate it.
Well, you put a nice face on it by saying government didn't anticipate it. I'm not sure which way that cuts, but I'll tell you this. It is time for our government not to work for the insurance companies. It's time for our government to work for the people who have insurance and who need it. So I'm going to do this one in just 2 quick bites. One is a very technical. I've done consumer work pretty much all my life and fought for the consumer agency, right? Out there, yes, CFPB, go. But a big part of that was to say that giant financial institutions should not be able to cheat people on mortgages and credit cards and payday loans, and that's what that agency was about. I now have the same kind of proposal for insurance companies that says they shouldn't be able to trick you and trap you on their insurance policies, so it's back at it. The second part is just the big part. It really is this question. You hit it exactly right, Mervis. It's ultimately, who are we going to make government work for? Are we going to keep giving in to the folks who hire all the lobbyists, who show up every day, the folks who make the campaign contributions? You know what we have to remember in this room? There's a whole lot more of us than there is of them. We use our voices, we use our votes, we take this government back. Thank you. You got this one written down.
I had to.
That's okay.
Senator Warren, Catherine Nicholson.
I know. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Catherine was my student at the University of Texas a few years back.
35 years ago. Welcome to the Midwest.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
I want you to know that I am here to support you because you're an old friend. You are someone who believes in what you believe, and I know that you always speak truthfully. I know that. There's no doubt in my mind. Honestly, after waiting in line, I think I might be one of the few conservatives in the room.
You're welcome here.
Thank you. I really
No, I know.
would like to see you be elected president. You've always sincerely fought for the middle class in all the years I've known you. And because I care for you and because I want to help you, I have to share what I see as a stumbling block to your campaign. I want you to win, okay? So,
Okay.
as you know, the Electoral College looks pretty red around here. From my perspective, in a lot of these red states, when you talk about reproductive rights, which is not your message about the consumer, it's not your message about helping families, it's not your message about insurance, But when you talk about reproductive rights, the folks in the Midwest, maybe not the ones in this room, but many folks in the Midwest hear the words murdering babies. And murdering babies is such an anathema to a lot of people around here that if you're pro-choice, they won't listen to another word you say. And that's not what I want for you. They'll shut the door on your campaign. Many people in red states want to support parents in crisis, give them a safe place to live, to learn, and to learn how to take care of their new child. If the new parents don't want to take care of a child, fine. Let's have a family raise a forever family raise the baby. You really have an important message. You support the families and you support health care, having just had a son die from cancer.
I know.
And in January alone of this year, the hospital bill was $200,000, but he passed away in September. I truly see the need for health care for all. It's just ridiculous otherwise.
Yes.
I am in favor of your antitrust enforcement, giving people greater voices in the corporations. But I feel if you support abortion, your entire message is lost, something I don't want to see happen.
So, no. So I think we're there, okay, on the question. Is that okay, Catherine? So Catherine and I have had this conversation off and on for a very long time, and it's kind of amazing that you got the card to come up here and ask a question, because it is an ongoing conversation. Catherine and I knew each other in law school, and for me, this is a question about the role of law. I know that these are very hard, personal, family decisions. I think the role of government here is to back out. I think a woman makes a decision with her family, her priest, her doctor, the people the woman chooses. And I think that's what respects all of us the most. And thank you, Catherine. It's good to see you there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We got one more. You do this. Got one more?
I'm Ann Travis. I am a
Ann?
Ann.
Hi, Ann.
I am from Iowa.
Ann?
I am a retired public school teacher.
Yay!
I have concern for the safety of children.
Yes.
But my major concern is we are a divided nation. And
Yes.
how are we going to work across the aisle or between groups so we can become united again? What strategies or ideas do you have?
So thank you, Ann. It's a,
Senator?
whoop,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Can I draw a couple more numbers
Sure,
here
you draw
real
a
quick
couple
before
more.
you answer?
Okay, and I'll get back to you here, Ann. Okay. Go ahead.
Didn't mean to scare you.
That's okay. I have a kind of high startle reflex. I
Hey,
stay in Washington a lot. Good to be alert at all times. Okay.
The last
Go ahead,
three
Scott.
digits are 007. So if you want to make your way to the mic. And 023.
We got them? We got a couple more?
And
There we
I am
go.
drawing these randomly.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't have them.
This is on Scott. Okay, so let's go back to Ann's question. Ann's question was about a divided nation and how we come back together. You know, let me say something about where we're headed as we start rolling into 2020. My view about this is that I want to be out there and talk about not just what's broken, but our affirmative vision for what we can build. Because I don't think it is a just progressives or just conservatives. Believe in a level playing field. Believe in a chance for all of our kids to be able to succeed and be able to thrive, to build an economy that works. I get there are some people who really don't want that, but not so many. I think this is where we are. And so for me, this is the fight of my life. I didn't pick this because it poll tested. I picked it because it picked me. It picked me back in Oklahoma when I began to understand that the way the rules are set up makes a big difference in whether or not you get a chance to succeed. Understand, my mama worked hard. She was scared, she pulled herself up, and she worked hard. But a mama today can work just as hard as my mama did and not be able to take care of herself and a baby. And that's because of rules set in a distant place. And so the way I think we come back together is we come back together when we say we're going to build a level playing field for everyone, when real opportunity is not just reserved for the children of rich people. Real opportunity is for all of our children. I think we can get folks on that. I sure hope so. Thank you, Ann. Good. Who have we got next? Hi. Come on up. Tell me your name.
My name is Peyton Winterhoff. I'm from Omaha.
Peyton?
Yes, Peyton.
Yes. Hi, Peyton.
And I'm wondering how you feel about Title X funding being taken away from certain family planning clinics such as Planned Parenthood.
Bad. I believe that women should have access to the full range of healthcare services. This is healthcare, okay? Healthcare for everyone. And that means we have to make the resources available. You know, I say a little piece out to the side on this, and that is some of the first work I did was about families going bankrupt and why they go bankrupt. And the early work I did on this was about medical bankruptcies. And medical bankruptcies take a lot of different forms, but the point is healthcare is part of our economic security. It is bad enough when somebody gets sick, when you lose a child, as you have, Catherine. This is terrible. But at the same moment, to be fighting economic collapse, that's not right. As an America, think about it this way. You know, we've gone through this bruising round about health care. And I was in the Senate when the House Republicans, every single one of them had voted to take health care away from tens of millions of Americans. And then after they did that, they went out and high-fived. Had a big party. Yo, we got rid of health care, right? For millions of people. Can you imagine? I stood on the floor of the United States Senate when health care hung by a single vote. And we managed to save health care. Right now, this administration's doing everything they can to still knock the legs out from underneath it. But I want to remind everybody in this room, we actually expanded this conversation beyond just the Affordable Care Act to talk a little bit about Medicaid, a program that's been there for a long time, and a lot of the Title X funding and other parts of the funding. Here's how I see this. 2 out of every 3 seniors in a nursing home is being supported in part by Medicaid. Your neighbor who has a home health aide who comes by for a couple of hours a day and that's how she's able to stay in her home, that's Medicaid. Your friend's adult child who has issues with mental illness and needs support, that's Medicaid. Your niece who had the baby, who ran up $1 million in medical bills in the first month, and even though the parents have health insurance, all that special equipment the baby's gonna need, all those special therapists, that's Medicaid. So here's how I see this. You wanna understand America? Look at that program. Because what it fundamentally says about us as a people is we don't know whose grandma outlives her savings. We don't know who gets hit by a bus. We don't know who falls prey to mental illness. We don't know whose niece has the baby that needs $1 million in medical care. But what we do know is that as Americans, as patriotic Americans, we all pitch in some nickels, so if it happens to your family, all of the rest of us will be there. That's what Medicaid, that's what Title X is all about. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we're in this. Yep.
Hey, ma'am. I'm stationed here at Offutt, and I heard your name a lot when I worked with General Polakowski.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask a foreign policy question.
All
because
right. Foreign policy. Let's go.
You're going to inherit quite a mess from this current administration and their inexperience, but also just other world events that are happening, Russian aggression and Chinese encroachment.
Yep.
So what is your view and plans on broad foreign policy?
Okay, so that was a big one. All right. Actually, all right, I want to talk about foreign policy, but I want to talk about it in a little different way than the way most folks talk about it. I think one of the biggest threats we face worldwide right now is the rise of autocracies, of these powerful, single, I'm going to call them dictators, although some of them may technically be elected, right? I'm just saying. Why does that happen, though? No, but I want to talk about this for a second. Why is this happening around the world? And it's around the world right now. The answer ties to the economic issues that we've been talking about. Decades now of undercutting working families here in the United States of America and in countries around the world, and the rise of the oligarchs, the rise of a handful of rich and powerful who then work with the head of government to keep corrupt governments in power. That's how it's working. When democracy is undercut here at home and around the world, and when government no longer represents the people, when it no longer strengthens a vibrant middle class, when it no longer takes care of the needs and helps create the conditions so that people believe, so they believe in a level playing field, so they believe that if they work hard and play by the rules, that they're going to have a chance to build something that matters, something that lasts. When we take the legs out from underneath that, autocracies go on the rise, and that is a direct threat to the security and safety of the United States and to people here in the United States and all around the world. So this economic message that I talk about is one that we not only need to live here in the U.S., we need to walk the walk around the world on this. This is what I believe in about the economics. I hope that's helpful as a starting place. And let me just say one more thing. I believe that you should know the difference between your friends and your enemies. Deep foreign policy insight. Work with your friends and keep your guard up against your enemies. That's my starting place. Good. We got another one?
All right. We have time for one more question.
Make it a good one.
So, 072. Anyone? Come on up.
Somebody back there. Okay, make this good. Hi. What's
Hello,
your name?
Senator Warren. My name is Selma.
Selma? It's nice to see you, Selma.
It's nice to see you too. I'm actually, so I'm coming here as a naturalized American.
Uh-huh.
I actually came to the United States as a refugee when I was very young.
Oh, welcome, Selma.
Thank you. So my question centers on the role of refugee resettlement in the future and in your presidential plans. So as you know, Donald Trump has obstructed the flow of refugees into our country. And what plans do you have to rebuild the infrastructure that has been harmed in that process?
So, excuse me, thank you, Selma, and I'm glad you're here. Can we just start with the basics of how we build a strong America? Immigration does not make America weaker, it makes America stronger. And nations of the free world, including our nation, offer a home to refugees. That is who we are. That's our values. That's part of what we do. So let me start with the basics. We need comprehensive immigration reform. We had a bill, 2013, it had bipartisan support. It had compromises in it. There were parts I didn't like, but there were parts I liked a lot on how we were going to have an immigration system that worked, that kept us safe, that helped us build an economy, and that was consistent with our values. We got it passed through the Senate, which shows you can sometimes get things done there. But then it went to the House, and the House Republicans killed it, and it has not come back since then. We cannot give up the dream of comprehensive immigration reform for our dreamers, for our refugees, for America. So I want one other part that I want to say about this, and that is I went down to the border and I saw the children that had been taken away from their parents. I saw cages full of women, cage at a time, and it was unbelievable. It was like a giant Amazon warehouse that was dirty. And as you came in, there was a cage of women, another cage of women, another cage of women, packed in, cages of men. And then you came into a bigger part, and there were big cages set out with little girls in them. 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old little girls just in cages. And then there were cages full of little boys. We have to have an immigration system that understands the difference between the threat posed by criminals and terrorists and 9-year-old girls. We need to be committed to a system that keeps us safe and a system that is consistent with our values, because it is only when both of those are working together that America is truly strong. So thank you, Selma, and thank you for being here. Thank you. So we're out of questions, right? You gonna wrap this up, or can I wrap this up?
You can wrap it up.
Oh, I'll wrap this up. I'm learning how to do this as we go along. So let me start by saying thank you for being a great first night crowd. Woo! Whoa! I love this. Let me also say, I'm dead serious when I say this is the fight of our lives. This is the fight of our lives. And we have been told over and over and over, it's too hard. You can't do this. These fights, nobody can do these. You're not going to be able to. Well, all I can say is people told me that I could not potty train a 2-year-old by her 2nd birthday. I was desperate, and it happened. People told me that we could not get a consumer agency because the banks spent $1 million a day, $1 million a day for over a year lobbying against it. It would never happen. But we got organized, we fought back, and today the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is the law of the land. But it's still there. You bet. You know, people told me that a woman couldn't be elected senator from Massachusetts. I am now the senior senator from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You know, and people told me after Wells Fargo cheated millions of their own customers, give up, girl. You cannot get any accountability from corporate CEOs. All I can say is we got organized, we pushed back, and the CEO of Wells Fargo is out of a job. So, yeah, it's hard. You bet it's hard. But so is every fight worth having. And we are an America that believes in coming together, believes in organizing hard, and believes in fighting back. The abolitionists, the suffragettes, the labor movement, the foot soldiers in the civil rights movement told over and over what wasn't possible. But they got organized, they persisted, and they made change. And that's what we're going to do.